Hi, everyone. I want to visit with you about the semester project so you'll know how the timeline should work out. So let me call up my information here on my other screen so I can read. There we go. Okay. So your semester project is the completion of a timeline of US history. Now, if you remember back to discussion 7, you've already done part of this assignment. So if you want to go back and grab that gamma timeline that you created before and just update it with this information, that's perfect. That's actually what I intended for you to do. But if you didn't like Gamma and you'd rather create this on some other method, you may certainly do that as well. So let's talk a little about the project. You've got several categories. You've got the pre-Columbian era, exploration and colonization, Revolutionary War, the early national period, Manifest Destiny, Civil War, and Reconstruction. All of those things are part of the time period that we've discussed this semester in US history through 1865. So those are part of your timeline as well. And they're probably already part of your timeline because those were the requirements for the discussion 7. So I want to show you some things that you can do to edit your timeline. Now, because you created this foundation of the timeline using artificial intelligence, you are not permitted to use artificial intelligence to edit the timeline. The editing is on you. That should be human created, human generated. So here's how that looks. One thing I want to point out to you too before we get too far into this is that when you use an artificial intelligence product, it is usually geared toward a certain outcome. Gamma is used for presentations that are often business pitches or sales pitches. And for that reason, we have to go back and edit this so that it sounds informative and not like we're pushing information on someone. It almost sounds like you're reading a travel brochure if you don't edit this out. So let me explain that. Here, this text says, from the early civilizations of the pre-Columbian era through the tumultuous years of the Civil War and Reconstruction, the United States has been shaped by a rich and complex history. Okay, that's informative, so I'll leave that in. Explore this timeline to learn more about the key events and figures that have defined America. Okay, that's also informative. It doesn't set super high expectations. It doesn't say, explore this fantastic journey to learn more about, because this isn't a fantastic journey, it's a timeline. I mean, let's be real. We have to be honest in history. So let's not call it something that it's not. So this is actually fine. I will leave it. Here's one that's not quite as obviously brochure-like or promotional-like, but I do want to omit it. So here in the pre-Columbian information, we have this first sentence refers to the period of time before the European explorers in the Americas. That's important to leave in. It was a time of remarkable cultural diversity and innovation with numerous civilizations developing advanced agriculture, architecture, and art. Okay, I'll leave that. But this sentence, learn about the Aztec, Inca, and Mayan cultures, among others. That's not necessary because we've got the outline right under it. So I'm just going to delete that. And you can see how easy that was. I just clicked, do it again, click in front, hold down and drag across to highlight. And I want to delete that information. I've highlighted it. I'm just going to click the delete button. And there it goes. Now it's gone. Now here, according to my guidelines, I need to also include Olmec and the Native American tribes here. And so my AI generated product gave me these first 3. So to get these other 2 to pop up, there was a little plus sign right up here. It's down here now since I've already added them. So I'm just going to show you how easy that is to add. If you decide you don't need one, you can click those 3 little dots and delete it. Those 3 little dots will bring you to an editing function. So if you need one. Also, let's talk about how to get a photo or a picture here. So I do want to get a picture to go with my Olmec. I'm going to click the picture box. Where'd it go? There it is. Click the picture box. And over on the right, I get some stuff that pops up. It automatically goes to web search engine. And I'm just going to type in Olmec because it should be easy to find something. There we go. We got those big heads. I'm going to pick one of those that are indicative of the Olmec culture. Also, I would type Olmec in here in this box and just some text here. Now, this is just placeholder stuff. A sentence or two would be fine. One of the requirements is that I have to write 100 words about one of these cultures. And if it were me, I would choose to write about the Native American tribes. There's so much that we could say about them. There were so many tribes. You could name a few of the different tribes. You could maybe even talk about the different regions. You could definitely talk about how, since there were so many Native American tribes, their civilization was not as developed as these other four that we've talked specifically about, that were all united in culture and language and in tradition. But the Native American tribes were all very different. So that would be something I could easily write 100 words about. And again, I would need to find an image. So I'm going to go to web search image, and I'm going to put Native American tribes. See what happens here. We may have to change that a little bit. Well, actually, we have a map. Oh, this looks very similar to the map we used in our slides. So I clicked on it. Let's see what happens. It's not showing up. That would be my luck. Okay, let's try a different one. Let's try this one. Okay, that one shows up. Let me try this one again. See, nope. For some reason, it's not going to allow me to use it. Here's another map that looks like it's got a lot of tribes on it. Maybe I'll use it. And then I could type 100 words here. So Gamma does not provide a word count for you. So if I were doing this, I would type it in Word or in Google Docs so I could keep a word count going. And then when I met my word count, I would simply copy it from there and paste it into here, which is easy to do. I'm just going to copy something from my other desktop and show you how easy it is to paste in. There you go. Of course, 100 words will look much longer than that, but then we've got all of our requirements here. So basically you do that throughout your format and make sure that you have all of the requirements from the requirement sheet on your timeline. So here under exploration, learn about the journeys of Columbus, Cortez, and other explorers. Well, that's a little more than we're actually going to deliver in this timeline. So we don't need to make a promise we don't live up to. We're going to delete that statement. There we go. And we're going to change Christopher Columbus to Leif Garrett. Leif Garrett. Ah, that's funny. Not Leif Garrett. Leif Erikson. I'm sorry, I've been listening to the 70s channel today. Okay, you guys have to go look up Leif Garrett if you don't know who he is. Anyway, Leif Erikson, and we would change this text, obviously, because he's not an Italian explorer. He was a Viking. And then we would include Cortez, De Soto, Jamestown. We've already got Jamestown mentioned here. We would include Plymouth, and we would include St. Augustine, Florida, which was an early colony. And then we would pick one of those to write 100 words about, any one, with just whatever you decide. Then Revolutionary War, we would go through here, and each division has a certain number of items that need to be included, very specific items. And then like when we get to the Revolutionary War, in addition to specific things like the Declaration of Independence, the Sons and Daughters of Liberty, battles at Lexington and Concord, the Battle of Saratoga, and one key figure of the Revolutionary War. So that means you have to identify the key figure of your choice and include them, and then write 100 words about that key figure you've selected. So basically, you're editing this document to include all the information from the U.S. History semester final project detail page. So the big key that I would remind you, one, don't use AI for your editing. Also, be sure to go through and remove all the cheesy salesman-like language in your timeline if you're using your AI generated one from Gamma. And Gamma is a really big asset in this way since it does so much of the work for you on the front end. It just really requires a little editing. There are a lot of other things that you can do with Gamma, and I'm just going to show you very quickly what some of these functions are. You've been seeing me add items like this by clicking the little plus button, but there are other things you can do too. Like you can come over here and maybe for one of these topics, maybe for my 100-word call out, maybe I want to include an info box. Just click and drag, and you can see that little highlight pop up. That's where it's going to drop it. And so then you have one of these little information blocks pop up, and you can give it a headline, like whatever your topic is. And then you could, can't read, it's late when I'm recording this, so I'm having a hard time reading. You can change that size if you want, highlight it. The text features will pop up. Maybe you want to make the header bigger, and then you can type. You can make the type bigger too if you want to. Just highlight that and then go to large text to make it a little bit bigger. Anyway, that's one thing you can do. You can also add pictures if you'd like by clicking the picture icon. I use web image search a lot, and you click and it goes in where you want it. And you've already seen me add an image with the others that we worked on at the beginning. You can also add a little video clip if you'd like. If you choose to use a Loom recording, you'll have to get a free Loom account, and it's very limited in how much you can record. So you're not required to do any recording on this project, but if you want to, you can certainly do that. You could also embed YouTube videos. Again, this is just about clicking, holding down, and dragging it over, and it will pop up. The thing is, most of the time, with the way it's established, you will be stacking things on top of each other instead of beside each other, which is okay for a timeline. You would put your YouTube link here if we had one. Let's see, what else can I show you? Something else that you can do. Let me go down to another card here. Okay. Layout options. You can change to 3 columns, 4 columns, or gallery. So let's say I put in a gallery. So if I wanted to cycle through a bunch of photos, I could do that here. I could also, I'm going to remove that because I won't be using a lot of photos here. But let's say I want to add 2-column format right underneath this 3-column format. You can do that. There it is. It's set up for you. You can also embed PDF files. There's a lot you can do here that you won't need to do for this project. So for that reason, I'm skipping over it. But if you ever decide to play around with Gamma a little bit, just know that you can change up a lot of things. Also, you can include buttons if you wanted to. Again, we're not going to do that here because it's not necessary for this project. Anyway, I think I've shown you the basic things that you need. I would encourage you to pick up where you left off with the Gamma timeline that you've already generated, because it will save you so much time. As you go through here, you have several of these 100-word little feature blurbs that you've got to write. Those should be in paragraph format. Everything that you write for this should be in sentence structure, so no bullet points. Follow along with like a sentence or two for each item that you have to include, except the ones where you're required to write 100 words. So let's see, how many 100-word items do you have to write here? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, seven items that you have to write 100 words about. So total of 700 words for this project. The rest pretty much AI generated for you. And you will do some editing of your own copy. So you'll have to add a few things like up here where I had nothing about the Olmec in my original layout. So I would have to go in and add a few comments about it. Anyway, I hope this video helps and helps kind of introduce you to editing in Gamma, makes you feel a little more comfortable with artificial intelligence. It is great. It's a great asset when you want to create something clever. I have ideas in my mind and can't get them on paper, so Gamma kind of helps me do that. And then I change the information quite a bit. So it goes from a lot of transformation happens from what I generate before you ever see it. So anyway, it's not the end all be all, but it is a great start. And it's a little fun to work with too. I do really enjoy generating these and playing around with the AI images that are here too. So anyway, you won't want to use AI images or text for this project, because with images, you're going to create something that's fake, and history is not about fake, we're about truth. So let's keep that in mind as well. Let me know as you work on your timeline if you run across any problems, either with information or understanding the guidelines or understanding something about Gamma. Please let me know how I can help.